Now it's time to find out what major stories are making headlines across Nigeria this Thursday morning. We're going to be having these conversations with Kehinde Nwandu from CKN News. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right. We kick off with the Punch newspapers this morning, I believe, and see what we can find over there. Of course, one of the major conversations is talking mostly about the flood in different parts of northern Nigeria, mostly in Borno State. But of course, in Bayelsa State, like it was in the news this morning, there's also concerns about a rising water level in Bayelsa State. 2023 was one of the worst years as well for flooding in parts of Nigeria, including Bayelsa.
Bayelsa, exactly.
So of course, our hearts go out to them, and we hope that they're able to arrest or tackle the situation before it gets completely worse. We kick off this morning. I think I would just go ahead and start with the Punch newspapers, and then we get to bring our guest in. It says here, Borno flood, 1 million persons affected, 414,000 displaced. Death toll hits 30. Victims sleep on streets. NEMA opens 9 IDP camps. Bayelsa flooded after downpour. We just spoke about that. Student loan beneficiaries lament delayed allowance. And also hunger protesters get 100 million naira bails. Remember, it's 10 of them with 10 million naira bail each. And of course, they are barred from further demonstrations. Federal government to register untitled lands. That's also on the Punch this morning. Top of the screen on the Punch, it says here how governors spent $50 billion excess crude funds. And that's from the NASG. Monkeypox outbreak spreads to 23 states. Marketers, refiners demand total subsidy removal. That's also on the Punch newspapers this morning. We can also find here, INEC warns against violence as police deploy 35,000 officers. It would be great that, we have a situation where every time that there's violence in the elections, or not just violence, people promoting violence prior to the elections, people talking about, or warning a certain group of people to not come out to vote, and then eventually those people attack during the election. It would be great if the police arrested those people and prosecuted them for electoral violence. That way, INEC wouldn't need to warn against violence in the elections 2 years after the elections, don't you think?
Food for thought.
All right.
Anyway, let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. On the next front page of the Vanguard newspaper, IMF to federal government, protect the poor from impact of petrol price hike. Says petrol still selling below market price, calls for product availability competition. IMF's right, says experts. State of the nation, Tinubu's government sliding into fascism, says Afenifere. Borno flood, we're still trapped, can't access work, business places, says victims. We'll partner states to combat flood, says VP Shatima. Eguavoin is still in charge of Super Eagles. At the top of the paper, treason. Court grants 10 end bad governance protesters 100 million naira bill. Edo gubernatorial elections. Tension as IGP and Obaseki, PDP disagree. We'll deploy 35,000 policemen, 8,000 other security agents. IGP Egbetokun says peace. They refuse to sign peace accord, it seems. Anyway, Finance Minister Customs meets to implement zero duty on food imports. I think we have one more paper and then we can get into the conversation.
Yes, the Daily Independent comes up next. It should be on your screen as well in a bit. It says the food scarcity hits Maiduguri as tomato farmers lose 1 billion naira. Really pathetic. Over 1 million people are affected by flood, says Governor Zulum. Court grants 100 million naira end bad governance bail, protesters bail rather. It says NCDC warns of imminent surge of Lassa fever, confirms 983 cases. Back to, bottom of your screen there, it says, we're moving back to Abacha days, if not careful, Afenifere says. And also, federal government markets 100 billion naira creative economy growth plan to corporate Nigeria. Final story that we can take this morning, NLC debunks allegation that Ajero snubbed DSS invitation. Let's start the conversation with the Afenifere claim here on the Daily Independent. It says we're moving back to Abacha days if not careful. Mr. Nwandu.
They'll have their reasons, and to a large extent, their reason may be germane as well. Apart from that, I also watched an interview with the former National Vice Chairman of APC in the North, yesterday on one of the programs, and he was almost practically saying the same thing.
Yes.
And so I'm sure you know, I can't remember, I think it's Mr. Lukman or something. And recent event is showing something similar, because let us take it from the point of the various arrests that is just going on. The arrest of the NLC the president, the supposedly invasion of Serap office by DSS.
Yes.
The arrest of those protesting against hunger and bad government and bad governance, as it were. And yesterday, during the arraignment, those young boys that practically we had next to nothing, we are asked to pay 10 million naira as bail. Those are the conditions, and under conditions, which of course they definitely cannot meet. So when you look at this in a democratic setting, you ask yourself what is really going on. And taking it a bit further, you have a president who several times when he was in opposition or even during the military era, led protests against bad governance, that to the large extent that he even had to go on exile. So you want to see somebody, I don't think it has been this bad. This is just 1 year. It wasn't this bad, and I stand to be corrected. During the 8 years of somebody you can even call a military dictator in the person of former President Muhammadu Buhari. That was a military man with a military background. So, so what we are seeing now is stifling of opposition voices, to me, to a large extent. And that in itself does not augur well for a democratic country like Nigeria. So, if...
But just to, you know, I mean, it probably wasn't, you may have your argument that it wasn't this, you know, bad because, you know, we probably didn't see like a direct intimidation of opposition voices, you know, but it's Buhari's administration is still the one that broke into judges' houses, you know, at night. Still the one that, of course, you know, is blamed for the incident that happened on the October 20th in 2020, where protesters were allegedly killed, you know, at the Lekki toll gate, you know, and there's many other, you know, situations where, of course, you know, they weren't just arrested. If you remember in Zaria in 2015, the 347, according to official figures, you know, unofficial figures say 500, maybe up to 1,000 people were killed on that day.
Yeah. And I tell you that I say 8 years of somebody that was taken as a military dictator. I say now we have somebody who's supposed to be a Democrat. That's what I'm telling you. I'm just giving you differences, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So even if some of those things happen under the Buhari watch, but what I'm saying is that this is just 1 year, we're into 1 year, and this is happening. And it doesn't quite look at the embarrassment we give ourselves because of the so-called arrest of the president of the DSS. That took a national dimension where the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom had to even speak at the TUC meeting in London and was talking about Nigeria. So I don't think it needs to get to that. What I'm saying in essence is that let us just be very careful. Nigerians are suffering. There's no way. You cannot beat me and say I must not cry. It's not possible. For goodness sake. It's not in those days. It's not like in those days, my brother, that your mom will beat you and say, "Blame me. You must not cry." You know those days that your parents will just say, "Cover your mouth. You must not." But these days we have getting, for goodness sake, it has not gone into that. Nigerians are suffering. I think what should be more concerned now is addressing the issues being raised by Nigerians. The issue of poverty, the issue of insecurity, and other related issues. Security is on the high. For goodness sake. You see what is happening in the north, whereby the Minister of State has to even start directing service chiefs to go. A known bandit now is giving order and asking people to pay between 30 and 50 million for their lives to be secured. We have left the level of Boko Haram, and now bandits have taken over, which is even worse than what we had before. And you say people shouldn't talk. People will talk, for goodness sake. So those are the issues as far as I'm concerned. So I think this government should just be very, very careful the way they are going about things. Right. We are all Nigerians. Nobody is more Nigerian than the other. And those are the facts. Yeah. We all have this country, and this country belongs to each and every one of us. That is my take on this. So it's not just about Afenifere, everybody across border. And the most annoying part of it is that the opposition party that are supposed to be the voice of the people are having an issue of their own. credibility problem, internal wrangling, and rest of them. I don't know whether it's deliberate or for whatever reason.
Do you think it's sponsored?
I use the word deliberate. I can't use the word sponsor. I'm a law graduate, so I wouldn't say, because as journalists, we are not to dwell within the realms of rumors. I want to base this thing on fact. But what I'm saying that, is it a deliberate attempt on the part of the opposition to be doing what they are doing? I just don't understand. But so we take it a bit higher. So now maybe we'll talk about the issue, which is also another airline, is that of Edo State election. Now, I saw the governor of Edo State coming out to tell the chairman of the peace committee, former head of state, Absalami, that the PDP may not sign the peace accord. And he gave his reasons. He said that incessantly in the past few weeks, members of his party have been arrested and arrested and arrested. And he asked why. What is the problem? They are not only arrested, they are not being prosecuted. Before you know it, that they are taken to Abuja and locked up.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And he said that in itself does not give, that is a sign that there is the police have become sort of a party to what is going on, and they're going to support the APC or whatever party. So I think we should also be very, very careful, because Edo is another I have some passion for Edo for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So those are areas where, because the election is just less than 2 weeks, I think it's on the 21st or 25th. And if this kind of issue is raising its head at this time, then the government must say, both INEC and the government must make sure that we have a level playing ground for all the parties to be able to participate in that election.
All right. Let's quickly speak with Lenin. Good morning, Lenin.
Oh, sorry. Good morning, Olive.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Please, I want to talk about this, what we are experiencing in the country. You know, I've been saying things about it. Like, I want to talk about the Borno one. I heard that some money were given to some time ago to do the dam. Now they are blaming it on climate change. You know, Nigeria will like blame. We like blaming this government, will blame the other government blame other. Instead of us to do this, to do the appropriate thing. My heart goes to the citizens, to the dwellers of Maiduguri. Like, I saw the thing yesterday, I was so heartbroken. These people should help Nigerians. We are ordinary people. We don't have parties. We just want to survive this country. They should stop blaming whoever. They should do the right thing. I know the water will dry up. By next year, this same thing will happen. I'm not praying it will happen, because they will not do anything. They will start the blame game again next year. So he says blame. Blame game, blame. But they don't want to take accountability. In a same word, all the people that were giving the money should be looked about something. They should be questioned.
All right. We'll take the Borno State story this morning. Thank you very much, Lenin, for calling. That'll be our final story, because we'll connect with our correspondent in Borno, who bring us live feed. But I want us to quickly take another story still this morning on the newspapers. On the front page, where is it? Oh, okay. All right. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, they're talking here about how hunger, I don't know if we've not yet touched it. Hunger protesters getting 100 million naira bill and barred from further demonstrations. Your thoughts on how the government so far has handled the hunger protesters? They've each been granted 10 million naira bill. They should bring sureties to the tune of 10 million. They should submit their passports. We had the Adeyonju, and part of the issues or the concerns he shared was the fact that not all these people are living in Abuja. They were all picked up from different parts of the country and then brought to Abuja to be tried.
I think I mentioned that in my opening. I talked about it, and I was saying that when you ask somebody to pay 10 million for bail, and you look at the people involved, then there is a problem. It also means that you practically don't want to get them released, because whatever offense they are, it's just protest. If there are those that were caught for looting, that's a different ballgame entirely. That can be charged. But just for protest, protests have been guaranteed in the 1999 Constitution. It's a fundamental human right. Every Nigerian has the right to protest. So if you are now picking up people for protesting, and you now hand them into prisons, and now say that now granting them bail, and for goodness sake, once you'll be able to pick up somebody in Nigeria, within 48 hours, the person is supposed to be charged.
But that's not the case here.
I'm coming. Within 24 or 48 hours, the person needs to be charged to court. If you are not going to charge the person to court, then you have to take the person to court and get an extension, which they did rightly. I know that they got some, but even at that, When you are asking this guy to pay 10 million as bail, for goodness sake, it's a bailable offense. How do they want to go about it? And I like if that's what they say.
I mean, the charges are treason. It's treason. I don't know if, okay, well, it's a bailable offense.
It is a
obviously.
bailable offense.
It's a bailable offense. It's a bailable, what is a bailable offense?
I think that
It's only if it was murder.
Yes.
Then we'll say, okay.
It's a bailable, it's a
Okay.
bailable
I've seen the story and wanted us...
The danger, just as I said before, the danger is trying to criminalize protest.
Yeah.
When you are converting protest to treason.
Yeah.
That is the danger for me.
Okay. I've seen the story that I initially wanted us to talk about that I was looking for. Marketers and refiners demand total subsidy reversal. But we'll come back to that. We have Abubakar calling from Abuja. Good morning, Abubakar. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead.
Hello, good morning, Central, News Central.
Thank you for joining.
Go ahead.
I have just one contribution to make on the protest issue. Now, the government feels they are on top of their game. One, in the sense that the last protest did not yield anything. So even if you come from all walks of life and you have been banned not to even enter Abuja Central. What you do is to stop somewhere at the airport, stadium. I have never seen such protest in my life where government will tell you that you are confined to a particular environment. Peaceful protest should be allowed. One, with this one that is coming up again now, they are not even afraid. They feel they have people that will hijack it. They are in power. They have the money. They can do what they want to do. And people that are hungry, the moment you throw something at them, before you know it, they will grab it. What is protest? We don't want to kill ourselves, and we cannot die for anybody. President Tinubu, please, we beg you in the name of God. You have been looking for this thing silently. You and Baba, the former chairman of the party, I can't remember his name. The old man there that is just a special advisor. I beg all of them, let them do something. And you guys are crying. You are crying for hunger. Hunger is something that you cannot hide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abubakar, for calling. I want us to talk about this story on the Punch newspaper. Marketers, refiners demand total subsidy removal. I just remember that line on social media where they say, is this plain? Is this joking? Do you see that possible?
Yeah, well, I don't know how possible that can be. But we were told on May 29, 2023 that subsidy has been removed. And that is what got us to where we are presently, because with that announcement, every other thing went off the roof. And report coming in has shown that we are paying subsidy. In fact, I'll take the bit back to 2015, pre-2015 election, where the former president, Muhammad Buhari, when he was a guest at Charterhouse during the campaign, and was asked about petroleum subsidy. What does it say? He said, there's nothing like petroleum subsidy. That is corruption. That is this thing. They should show him evidence that there's a petroleum subsidy. All those things that are crap. But throughout his 8 years, what did he do? He was paying, he was subsidizing petrol. So it is always easier for people to make pronouncements or make assertions. But when they get to the point, they know that it's not possible. And that is what happened. The president, instead of waiting for at least getting to office, wait for about a month or two, see what is on ground, and see whether truly this issue of subsidy or no subsidy can be removed. But he's hinging on the fact that, he wasn't the one that after all, that it was the former president that had put a cap on removal of subsidy. But even that subsidy was supposed to last till end of June. But he made that announcement on May 29, 2023. Everything went off. As he was just talking, before he came down from the rostrum, all the filling stations across Nigeria changed their prices. Yeah. And that has always been what was. So, and that is why I'm talking about the issue of transparency in governance. Come out and tell Nigerians the true story. And I continue to say that, if our refineries are working optimally, the issue of the pricing of petrol won't have been what have, because most of the petrol, close to about 90% of what we're using, or 95% of what we're looking, are imported. If we're having our refineries working, the freight it
takes away,
you take that away completely. The duties probably they pay, custom duty or whatever, you take that away. the VAT or whatever, you take that away. So it is localized.
So the only thing you likely would have as a bill is the refining cost.
Refining costs and local transportation.
Yeah, and of course, I think I mentioned it on Monday.
Yes.
When we were speaking with one of our guests on Monday that James Faleke a few years ago had criticized the costing, for processing crude oil in Nigeria has been highest in the world. We currently, I think it was about $48, per barrel for processing crude oil in Nigeria. In Saudi Arabia, it was $9 or $10 a barrel, and that was one of the questions that was raised a couple of years ago. That why is it so expensive to process, Nigeria's crude or crude oil in Nigeria?
And ours is one of the best. The Brent crude,
yes,
is one of the best in the world. Our crude oil is one of the best. When you're talking of chocolate. There's some chocolate, you know what I'm talking about. There are some sound chocolate and what. Nigeria's oil, crude oil, is called the Brent. It's one of the best. There are different categories of crude oil.
Brent's crude.
So you now realize that, and I ask, why is it possible for us to be able to refine? Look at the NNPC that is talking. For how many times have they shifted the post on the issue of trying to turn around and Port Harcourt refinery?
Yeah.
It's over a year now, they're talking about it. Yeah. We've not even started talking of Warri. We've not started talking about the second, there are two refineries in River State. Yeah. We've not talked of Kaduna. And now we're talking of Dangote. There's an issue now. Dangote, the pricing. Dangote said, wait on Federal Executive Council. No, we're not going to wait for, we're going to wait for NNPC to be able to do. NNPC is the same thing with Dangote currently because it's a private company. NNPC is not longer a government, it's a private company just like Dangote. So NNPC cannot determine the price of petroleum for Dangote. And that's what we've been talking about. So the issue is so complicated that I don't know whether we should do this oil sector, whether there's one, is because it's turned out to be the same thing like we have in the power sector. The power sector, for goodness sake, for close to 50 years, a country like Nigeria is generating and transmitting just 5,000.
5,000 on a good day.
On a good day, they can't even hit that 5 because every time they try to hit that 5,000, the whole thing will collapse.
Well,
is that not aberration?
It's embarrassing, and whether we want to accept it or not,
very embarrassing.
Everyone would have their own, reasons why we've been this way. Leadership failure, and many other things that could be mentioned. But but we should say that it's embarrassing.
This is very embarrassing.
That we've not been able to sort this thing out. And there's not one government that has come into office and said
the least
that
problem across most developing countries, even developed countries, is power. Power is the least of their problem. And we are still battling with over, this is 2025. That means we don't reach about 60. How many years we don't do now? We don't get independence. We cannot provide power for ourselves.
All right, let's quickly talk about the flood. In Borno State, over 30 confirmed deaths on the Daily Trust, 30 confirmed dead, 1 million affected. On other newspapers this morning, it gives different figures. But of course, the Punch still continues to say, the same thing, 1 million affected, 414,000 displaced.
And I want you to speak regarding the different conversations that the flood has sparked. There are those who say that the government should not be blamed. There are those who say that it's a function of climate change. But the details that we have is the dam that was broken. So what are your thoughts regarding the possibility that maybe this has occurred because there hasn't been maintenance of these dams, structural maintenance, and should we really hold the government to account?
This probably would be addressed as disaster foretold. If the story is making the rounds, that's why I want to listen to your correspondent because there has been a lot of story.
Right.
We don't even know the true story. They said that it was the dam was built over 40 years or 50 years ago that's supposed to be maintained. It was not maintained. The secondly, that another dam ought to have been built to be able to take off some volume of water from that one that it was not built. If that is the case, the question you ask yourself, who built the dam? It's government.
Yes.
So, of course, if that is the situation, that is the real case, and then the government needs to be blamed. But the problem I'm having is the social effect on the lives of Nigerians. Let us start. To go into the prison, about 200 to 300 or whatever number of prisoners have escaped from Maiduguri prison. All the ones that escaped from Imo, escaped from Kogi, escaped from Akure, Edo State, till now, not up to 5 or 3% of them are able to find themselves way back into the prison. And we are talking of insecurity. Okay. That is one. then the lives of the people, now crocodiles, big snakes, and all the rest, is now, they are competing. Lions are now competing with human beings on the street of Maiduguri and the rest of them. That is this effect. Then the life, when you see the devastation of that flood, so many lives, people's lives have been rendered useless for life. Some people built their house over 30, 20 years ago, or 50 years ago. They cannot even go back to that house again.
Yeah.
Everything they have has been gone totally. Now you are having serious security problem in Borno State. You are moving over 1 million again to IDP camp.
Yeah.
That in itself is going to hide the level of insecurity in land. Because if the people cannot feed themselves, then of course they become easy tool for all these recruits, all these bandits and all the rest of them, to be able to recruit them. And we are talking out of school children in the north. Majority of the victims of this flood are going to be children and women, the vulnerable.
I mean, first of all,
those are the big issues within the board that we have. So it's not just about the flood, but the social and economic effect of that flood.
And how long is it even going to take the state to, for the flood to last?
This one, if that report is right, then it has nothing to do with climate change.
All right, let's bring in our correspondent who's in Borno State now. We have Umar Kirawa joining us live from Maiduguri. Good morning, Umar Kirawa. What's the update regarding the flood?
Well, the update is that the water is... Hello?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes, I said the update is that the water is gradually receding within the state, within the metropolis of Maiduguri. However, people are going through very difficult times, particularly at the IDP camp. Some of them are trying to survive. So they are going through very difficult times with their experience of going through the years of insurgency, and now others are experiencing the flood, the flood, and even camping at displaced persons camp for the first time. So it's actually just time for sober reflection for many. But right now, if you can see behind me, this is a clinic at the Bakassi IDP camp where patients and patient relatives put in their numbers to receive medical treatment. One of the patient relatives will tell us more with that to her experience and what he is with. Now, so the purpose there is
all right, we'll have to, unfortunately, we might have to reconnect with you much later because we're struggling with your audio, Umaru. So we hope that maybe when we reconnect with you this time, maybe try it out without the AirPods, and we'll see if we can have a conversation about that. But, you know, as we wrap up this newspaper review, I think that you've highlighted certain key areas. Yes, it's good news to hear that the water is receding in Borno, but we've not even fathomed the economic impact of what this will cause to the state, to the nation, the lives that have been lost, people who will need to start all over again. There are people who are currently separated from their families. They don't know where their families are because of the flood. I saw the videos and I shuddered because it feels like, you know, the hurricanes we see abroad, and we're saying to ourselves, oh, we pray for this country or pray for that country, and now it feels like this is happening to us at home.
Yes, it's just unfortunate. And when you now add that to the hunger that's already ravaging the country,
I mean, farmlands are going to become wiped away, you know, with that.
That's it. And, you know, Borno State is noted for insecurity, but what most people don't know that it's also a food basket to a large extent. Most of the fish this thing in Nigeria that we take in Nigeria comes from Borno. There are some areas within the Borno state that is noted for such. So it's also going to add a lot of problem to the serious economy. And that is why, and on a final note, my problem has always been in Nigeria is our disaster management mechanism. We don't. And probably, with all sense of humility, probably that is what God has blessed us with, one particular problem, which is leadership.
Yeah.
If you understand what I mean. God has given us that one, our own wahala, our own natural disaster. That one.
Yeah.
Because if this or that natural disaster that is happening across the globe happen here, you are talking of tsunami. Imagine having a tsunami in Nigeria. Or having earthquake, or having those of what. There will be no this thing. So that is so we have NEMA, we have the state, this thing, and the agencies and the rest of them. None of them even know what to do in terms of disaster management.
I mean,
and that has always been the issue.
I mean, I wouldn't say that they don't know what to do, because
You know,
I know
you
there's
always say that
SEMA, there's NEMA, there's, I mean, all these bodies exist.
Even states have their own.
the State Emergency Management
all those
Agency,
things. Yes.
They
Except for
exist.
Lagos to a large extent. Except for Lagos. In Lagos, you can give it to them. If anything happens, is it fire, is it
Building collapse.
building collapse, or you see that quickly there's a level of intervention. It might not be as quickly as you bet. You see that there will be some level of. Go to some certain states. You have a building collapse for 2 days. They've not seen anybody coming to be able to look at what.
Yeah, I mean, questions need to be asked as to, you know, what kind of funding they receive and what they could do with the funding that they, you know, receive, you know, when, you know, there's a flooding like this. But I would once again just remind us that we need to go back to where the key blame should be. And this is what I started with, that yes, it could be a natural disaster, no doubt. It could be that the rains fell and this was more rains than we've ever seen in Borno's history. Okay. But at the same time, we could also, you know, look at the Alo Dam that has been mentioned. That if this dams collapse, it's because that dam was not rehabilitated when it should have, you know, been in 1994, in 2012, in the previous times when it has collapsed, then government must be held accountable. You know, but we don't just have enough value for the average Nigerian life for us to be able to hold government accountable and say that you failed. And that's the reason that we've lost 30 people. We've lost 100 people. We've lost farmland. We've lost property because you failed to rehabilitate a dam that was your responsibility 10, 15, 12, you know, 20 years ago.
Let me
and that's my point.
Let me start off with this. The cheapest commodity in Nigeria now is life. Take that to the bank. The cheapest, that's my take off this evening. The cheapest commodity in Nigeria now is life.
Again, I think another way to put that is, what is the value of the Nigerian life?
That is it.
Yeah.
What is life worth in Nigeria? It is very cheap.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Always a good conversation here with you. Just a very sad note we're ending with, unfortunately, but that's the reality of Nigerians right now.